Tryday Friday. Today I have something kind of fun for you. Today I want to tell you that this project that I am doing with you was done just on one of those days where I just had a little bit of time in the craft room to experiment. And that doesn't always happen because a lot of times there's deadlines or whatever. And so it's fun when you sometimes have a little extra experimental time. So what we're going to do, first of all, I'm going to ask you a question, and that is how many of you out there who are watching have not ever used heat embossing, whether it be on a card or a project, whatever. You'll have to leave me a comment and I will go back. I usually go back a couple days later and I will reply to all the comments. But today we are going to heat emboss, but we're not going to heat emboss on a card. So with that, let's look and see what we've got here. This is one of our spruced up wreaths. They come in a package of 6. So much fun, but you know, I worked with these a little bit before and I thought, well, what can I do different with this wreath? Because sometimes, like I've made cute garlands with these, cute ornaments, they're darling on a tag, but I wanted to do something just a little different. So I thought, I wonder if I should just add some snow or whatever, and that's the thought process that led me to emboss. So let's go ahead and let's get started on that. So this is the clear pigment re-inker, the re-inker for our clear pigment pad. And this ink is actually, you can see it's clear. It's sticky. And so if you haven't ever heat embossed, it's important to know that this is a lot of times what we will use, whether it be on a card or something else, to get the embossing powder to stick. So we are going to just make a pretty generous puddle of this clear pigment ink, and we are just going to take the paintbrush and we are going to use that to apply it to our wreath. Now the kind of fun thing about the paintbrush is, you know, these wreaths are great, but just in shipping and stuff, sometimes they get crunched up a little bit. And so this is kind of nice because it fluffs out your wreath a little bit at the same time, and you can kind of move those bristles around a little bit if you want to get a little more shape in there. And this is something you can do in layers. So if you do it and you don't feel like you got quite as much on there as you want, you can go through and do it again. So I'm just going to do a portion of the wreath right now. That actually is not a bad idea either, so you have something to hold on to when you are heating it up. So yeah, you want to use a generous amount, and you might even want to kind of work your way down the bristles a little bit. All right, I think we are ready to add some embossing powder. Now, I thought, okay, I could add white. It's traditional, it's pretty, but let's do something a little fun. Let's try our rose gold. So I'm just going to take my media tray and I am going to just tap really lightly to start. You can tell where the ink is because that's you can see it. It's not sticking where there's not any. So we are ready to heat that up. Now with your tray, once you're done, you can go ahead and you can dump that back into your bottle. All right, so this is where the magic happens. So if we can zoom in just a little bit, you can see it's very powdery. You can see that it's powder, but this is where it will change and get its shiny, fun look. So when you're embossing on a card, basically if you're stamping, you're just going to stamp in that clear pigment ink and then add your embossing powder. And when you're doing that on paper, I'm holding this fairly close, but you notice I'm moving it around a lot. You don't want to stay in one spot for very long because on your paper it will actually burn. And I don't know what it'll do on this, but let's not find out. And also when you're embossing on paper, it actually works out better if you use your heat tool from the bottom up, from the underside of your card. See how that's switching over? It'll give you a more even look to your embossing. Okay, let's see if I got it all. Okay, so then I would just go through and I would just repeat the process on the other side. And look how fun that is. We've got our traditional, just green wreath, or you can do your snow. So then the fun part is when you get to start putting decorations on it. And I actually have a few things that I would recommend highly. We've got our Frosted Friends. Look at all these cute stickers. And we've got Frosted Forest. We've got Rose Gold Jingles. We've got our gift twine, and these 4 items right here are all in our holiday mini. And then we've got this really pretty boho trim, and we've got, I'm actually going to show you the finished project in a second, but the rustic rose looks really pretty with that rose gold, and also the sunrise mix sequins. So let me go ahead and show you what I did with some of these things. And again, you could turn that into a garland, you could turn that into an ornament, but I chose to make a wall hanging. I just used a frame, used some of our pretty pattern paper. So I've got white embossing powder on the top one. The middle one is actually the rose gold. I'm hoping the camera can pick this up. The bottom one is actually our copper, and it's a little hard to see on the camera. Let me hold this up and then you can see how fun. How fun to hang that on the wall or to give a gift to somebody. So much fun. And honestly, this whole project, you could have this done in an hour or less very easily. So much fun. So this is what I got from experimenting in my craft room. What are you going to do in your craft room this weekend? I think experimenting is kind of fun. And maybe if you feel like leaving a comment about something fun that you've discovered through just experimenting, I would love to hear about it. All right, thank you so much for joining me for Tryday Friday, and I will see you next time.